Welcome to Vanished Voices UK, your new favourite spot for curious missing persons cases, true crime stories, and in-depth investigations. Missing in York, the mysterious disappearance of Rory Johnson-Hatfield. In the early hours of the 20th of November 2015, Rory Johnson-Hatfield vanished from the city of York during a night out. He was last caught on CCTV at the City Mills flats overlooking the River Ouse, and no one has seen or heard from Rory since. The case remains open and unsolved to this day, with North Yorkshire Police appealing for any information to help find him. In this video, we will have a look at Rory's background, trace the timeline of his disappearance, review the police investigation, and discuss the main theories and unanswered questions surrounding his case. Rory Johnson-Hatfield grew up in Skipton, North Yorkshire, and was 29 years old at the time he disappeared. Rory had a close-knit family, his father Doug Hatfield and mother Liz Johnson, and he also had 2 brothers and 2 sisters. His father ran Brodie's restaurant in Skipton at the time, and Rory helped work in the family business. He was described as always full of life and positive by his family. He had no history of mental health issues as far as anyone knew. Rory enjoyed social outings and was known to love the city of York. Friends noted that York was a city that he loved and knew well. On the 19th of November 2015, Rory took a train from Skipton to York to visit the city with a friend. He was due to return home for work the next day. Public appeals describe his physical description as a white male about 5 foot 11 inches tall, of slim build with short blonde hair. On the last night he was seen, police say Rory was wearing a navy crewneck jumper, dark blue jeans, and light grey Converse trainers. Rory travelled from Skipton and arrived at York train station at about 7:20 PM on the 19th of November 2015. Once in York, he spent the evening around the city centre visiting the Christmas market and a teepee bar called Thor's Teepee, which is a seasonal bar set up as part of the Christmas market. Later, Rory and his friend moved on to a pub. At around 11:30 PM, Rory and his friend, both staying at the York Central Travelodge on Piccadilly, were at the Post and Gate Wetherspoon pub. There, Rory met a fellow hotel guest and that guest's father. At about midnight, Rory returned to the Travelodge with the 2 men he had met in the pub. He checked back into the hotel briefly. His friend saw him in the lobby at approximately 12:15 AM on Friday the 20th of November. Rory left the Travelodge with the male hotel guest that he had met at the pub to go to another pub. This was the last time he was seen on hotel premises, and the last time he was seen by the friend he was staying with at the hotel. Shortly after midnight, CCTV cameras captured Rory's movements in the city. He was seen walking along Tower Street with his friend at around 12:32 AM. Approximately 6 minutes later, at about 12:38 AM, he was caught alone on CCTV crossing Skeldergate Bridge. At 12:47 AM, a CCTV camera at the City Mills flats caught the final image of Rory. This camera shows Rory on a balcony overlooking the River Ouse, an area accessible only by climbing a wall onto the site. This is the last confirmed sighting of Rory. After this point, no one has seen or heard from him. On November the 21st, on the Saturday, concerned by his disappearance, Rory's family reported him missing to North Yorkshire Police. From that day on, investigators launched a search and opened a formal missing person case. From the outset, one line of inquiry was the River Ouse, which was in flood that night. Police underwater search units and the York rescue boat combed the river and its bank for days. Humberside police divers also joined the search effort. By late November, the searches were extensive, but they found nothing. Rory's father noted that the police scoured the Ouse multiple times and found no trace of him. Not only have boats scoured the surface of the river, but sonar has been used extensively, and cadaver dogs were brought in to see if they could detect a body in or around the water, but again, nothing was found. Investigators released Rory's CCTV images and timeline to the public, hoping that witnesses might come forward. Chief Inspector Alan Westcott described a critical missing 6 minutes in Rory's footage. He noted that Rory disappeared from view between 12:32 AM and 12:38 AM as captured by the city centre cameras, and that any sighting during that gap could be the key. On the 3rd anniversary of Rory's disappearance, police staged a social media reconstruction of his last movements with the hashtag #Rory2015. As of 2025, these appeals continue. Police emphasise that the investigation is still open and that they would still like to hear from anyone with information. Rory's family and supporters have also kept his case alive. Missing People, the UK charity, took up his case and provides a hotline for tips. Rory's family has also set up a Facebook page which has nearly 20,000 members in support. In 2018, family even travelled to Cornwall after an unverified sighting of Rory in the town of Foy, but this did not turn out to be him. Police have followed all leads, but none has produced solid evidence to this day. To date, no arrests have ever been made in this case. The only people known to have been with Rory that night were his friend, the hotel guest and his father, but none of them have been publicly identified as a suspect. North Yorkshire Police have interviewed witnesses and looked at all angles, but no one has been charged. The initial and perhaps the most obvious theory is that Rory may have slipped or fallen into the River Ouse after midnight. The river was in flood that night, and the last known image placed him on a balcony overlooking the water. However, this theory has problems. By 2017, the family's own searches and police divers had looked for him extensively, and there's been nothing found whatsoever. Rory's father also noted that the CCTV footage does not show Rory entering the water. Investigators have admitted that they can't confirm if he was near the riverbank or how he would have entered or exited the water unseen. Rory's parents state that the river was searched with a fine-tooth comb and that other missing people had been pulled from the river during searches around that same time. To summarise, while an accidental drowning is possible and does seem like the most likely theory, the lack of any trace after exhaustive searches is strange and leaves open the possibility that something else happened to Rory. His family strongly believe that there is no way he would have not been found considering the extent of the searches. Another predominant theory is that Rory may have met with foul play that night. His father pointed out that on the CCTV, Rory seemed to be running down the road as though he were being chased. If true, this odd behaviour has fueled speculation that someone may have confronted Rory after he left the pub. Rory's dad said, "We have 6 or 7 minutes of missing time where Rory is seen on CCTV at the bottom of Tower Street going on to Skeldergate Bridge at 12:38 AM, and it picks up again on the balcony of City Mills at around 12:45 AM. Mr. Hatfield also said in the same report in the Craven Herald that there is a witness in City Mills who saw Rory running down Skeldergate towards City Mills and dashing across the courtyard and onto the balcony. In his witness statement, he said that the impression he got was that Rory was being chased." Rory's dad goes on to say, "It only takes seconds to get down there, so we have got 6 or 7 minutes where maybe he's encountered someone or something and maybe had a bit of trouble and turned and run from it. This is what we're appealing for, anyone who may have seen him or anything like that around that time." Police say they have looked into that possibility, Still, no suspect or motive has ever been identified, and no evidence of a struggle has emerged. In the absence of any witness report or physical evidence of an attack, this theory remains as speculative as the others, but it can't be ruled out. A less publicised theory is that Rory might have decided to leave on his own, perhaps to start a new life or due to personal reasons. However, there is not a lot of information that supports this. Family members insist that Rory had no mental health issues and was not known to be under stress. His father emphasised that Rory was always full of life. It was the last thing he would want, to hurt himself. Furthermore, he had a good job and family obligations. For these reasons, voluntary disappearance or suicide is generally seen as very unlikely by those who knew him. His mum and dad have spoken in some reports of how, after reviewing photos of him from the months before he went missing, that he looked troubled. This could be an indication that he wasn't entirely happy with his life at the time, but it does not seem to be enough to suggest that he would leave his loving family to start anew, or indicate that he intended to harm himself. What happened in the missing minutes? The critical gap between 12:30 AM and 12:38 AM remains a mystery. CCTV first sees Rory with his new friend at 12:32, and then he's running alone 6 minutes later. Investigators have appealed for anyone who was in York city centre that night to recall if they saw Rory or his companion in that time. The untracked period might hold clues, but so far it's blank. Why is there no trace? Despite extensive river searches, no body, clothing or personal item has ever been found. If Rory entered the river, how did he exit without detection? His father noted the cameras did not even capture him going into the water. If he stayed on land, why did nobody report anything? He vanished from a busy city centre and later from a residential block on a night with a Christmas market. Yet, no witnesses have come forward with helpful sightings. This complete lack of physical evidence, especially after the river was scoured several times, is baffling. Why did Rory climb onto the City Mills balcony? The final CCTV footage shows Rory on that balcony, which was not easily accessible. Why did he climb that wall onto the site? Was he seeking refuge, fleeing someone, or simply disorientated? We don't know how long he stayed there, or how he left that location. Who was the man with him? Rory left the travel lodge with the fellow guest, the pub acquaintance, at 12:15 AM. That man's identity is known to the police, but to the public he's never been named. Did police view him only as a witness, or has he been considered a person of interest? The public record gives no details, leaving questions about whether that individual or his father could provide untapped information. And where is Rory now? After nearly a decade, we still lack any confirmed clues. Could Rory be alive somewhere, having cut ties? If so, why hasn't he contacted his family? The family continues to hope for answers or even a reunion, but the longer this goes on, the harder it is to know. The case remains one of York's great unsolved mysteries. If you know anything about Rory Johnson-Hatfield's disappearance, please come forward. The information you hold about that night may seem insignificant to you, but could be useful to the investigation. Maybe you saw some strange behaviour or heard a rumour or some strange noises. North Yorkshire Police are urging anyone with information, no matter how small, to call 101 and quote reference 12150207141. You can also contact the Missing People charity confidentially on 116000 or Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111. Sharing this story and these images may bring us one step closer to finding Rory. Rory Johnson-Hatfield's case remains unsolved, an unsettling and sad mystery in York's recent history. His family has never given up hope of finding him. As police and volunteers continue to search for answers, the hope is that a witness will come forward or a new lead will emerge. Until then, the disappearance of Rory Johnson-Hatfield stands as a reminder of how someone can vanish without a trace, and of the enduring determination of loved ones seeking the truth. As always, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and remember, every missing person deserves to be found. Like, comment and subscribe to see more new and cold missing persons cases from the UK.